Hi guys, I'm Charles96 Photos and welcome to week 3 of the 52-week project that I'm doing. So this week's challenge was red, so I figured I'd dig out some flash gels and use the only thing that was around, the only subject that was around my house, which is my dog. So as you can see, already transferred all the raw files over, got all of that. So it's just time to drag these into Photoshop now and do some retouching. So for this, in this episode, I'm going to be showing you a little bit how I am going to make the most of the red. So I'm going to make the red more pronounced. I'm going to work with it a lot more, just to kind of stick to the theme of red. Now the thing is with red is that it makes for great black and white, and that's because the frequency that red is kind of just converts to black and white really nice. So when I was back in the darkroom, you'd always use a red filter if you wanted to get darker photos, so more contrast. So for these photos here, I literally just got my speed light and my Rogue Flash Bender, which I'll be doing a review on, which came with a little red filter. So I whacked that on the end of it and then started taking photos of my dog, and luckily she was still enough for me. Now as you can see, these aren't the most well exposed. That's because I was kind of half guessing my exposure, and she moves really quickly. Do quite like that one, but I think the last photo is the one I had in mind of that, which I'm going to retouch. There we go, that's it. As you can see, a little bit underexposed, but obviously with the magic of shooting in RAW, I can pull all of this back. So I will be doing a video on why you should be shooting in RAW very soon, but you know, we'll get to it. So we're gonna just bump up that exposure a little bit, possibly build up the contrast. It's around about there. That's quite nice. See, so this blue here indicates where it's too dark. So I'd like to bring that out, but then it's starting to bring out too much of the background. But that's something I can sort out when I get actually into Photoshop itself. There's no highlights on the image, so even if I pull that down, it doesn't really do anything. If anything, I quite like it up a little bit. Actually, no, down looks quite good. And she'd literally just been over the park before this as well, so you can kind of see all the mud around her face. My dog is often the subject of whenever I'm testing out lenses or a new camera, partly because she's the only other subject in the house. Normally my fiance is out. She conveniently times it so she's out when I get new equipment. So, you know, the dog's always around. I'd quite like to make the dog, you know, the face of my business, but we'll see. If I put vibrance up, that doesn't really change too much. Bringing it down is making it look really quite nice, actually. Yeah, I think I'll take the vibrance out. Normally I like having my shots all nice and vibrant, but I think for this instance I'm quite happy with that. Fair enough, there are still a few dark spots, so that's more blacks than anything. So yep, that's done it. So the difference between shadows and blacks is the shadows bar, it changes part of the exposure, whereas the blacks changes the tones of the blacks. It's quite complex, but I probably will do another tutorial on it. I'm only just starting to actually understand it myself, but you know, I think Lightroom explains it to you better than Photoshop, just purely because Lightroom's probably a much more efficient program. Quite happy with that. Literally all I'm going to do is bring this into CS6 now. Just wait for it to load. This Mac is starting to run awfully slow, which makes me think it's time for an upgrade soon. Command and J to open that up, and I'm literally just gonna get the elliptical marquee tool, drag that over. Command Shift and I to invert that selection. Go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Not too much. That's a bit too much for me. That just about does it. And then Command and L to get levels up. And we're just, that's the wrong way. Just going to bring those whites down a little bit there. Around about there, that's quite nice actually. and deselect that, and then that's pretty much exactly what I was going for. That vignette is a little bit too harsh for me, but you know what? I actually quite like the effect of that. It reminds me of, does remind me very much of an old colour film image. So quite happy with that. Going to export it, and you can see the full res on my Flickr page, which will all be linked below. So anyway, guys, next week's theme is I can't remember. I'm going to have to go check that now, because I'll have to go and shoot it this week in order to get episodes out in time. So, I will see you guys in the next one. So, I'm Charles, and I take photos, and I'll see you later.